What would you do if someone you'd never met knew the name of your dead child? Imagine driving 800 miles of empty highway, somewhere between Lincoln and Cheyenne, the kind of road where you can go 40 minutes without seeing another vehicle. It's 3 in the morning. Your headlights carve a tunnel through absolute darkness. And then, on the shoulder, you see a woman. She's standing perfectly still. She's holding a cardboard sign. And on that sign, written in black marker, is your mother's maiden name. Not your name. Not your company. Not your license plate number. Your mother's maiden name, the one you use as a security question for your bank account. The one that isn't printed on any document in your cab, isn't listed on any manifest, isn't stored anywhere someone could casually access on a dark stretch of interstate at 3 in the morning in the middle of Nebraska. You blink. You check your mirror. She's gone. And then you learn that 13 other drivers saw the same woman, holding signs with information she could not possibly know. This is the story of the I-80 woman, a case quietly compiled by the Department of Homeland Security, classified under a label I'd never encountered before in any FOIA document I've ever read: anomalous interstate activity. I'm going to walk you through everything: the reports, the dashcam footage that shows nothing, and the 3 details about this case that, once you hear them, you will not be able to explain away. Let's start with what we know. Interstate 80 runs coast to coast, but the 450-mile stretch between Lincoln, Nebraska and Cheyenne, Wyoming is one of the loneliest corridors in the American highway system. Long-haul truckers call it the plank because of how flat and featureless it is. You drive it at night and the world reduces to 2 things: the road and the dark. There are no major cities between the 2 endpoints. There are truck stops, small towns that blink past at 70 miles an hour, and an enormous amount of nothing. Between 2017 and 2022, at least 14 commercial truck drivers filed reports with either the Nebraska State Patrol or the Wyoming Department of Transportation describing an encounter that followed, almost without deviation, the same sequence. The driver is alone. It is between midnight and 4 in the morning. The weather is clear. They see a woman standing on the right shoulder of the westbound lanes. She is described as white, mid-30s to mid-40s, wearing dark or nondescript clothing. She is not waving. She is not hitchhiking. She is standing still, facing the road, holding a cardboard sign at chest height. The sign contains a specific personal detail about the driver. In 4 cases, it was the driver's mother's maiden name. In 3 cases, it was a childhood street address. In 2 cases, it was the name of a deceased family member, in one of those, a child who had died. In the remaining cases, the information varied: a date of personal significance, a middle name that wasn't on any official document, a nickname only used within the driver's family. Every single driver reported the same emotional response. Not fear, not initially. Confusion. A sense of disorientation so profound that several of them described it as feeling like they were dreaming. One driver told Nebraska State Patrol that he felt like the road wasn't real anymore, like he was driving through a memory instead of a highway. And here is the first detail that changes everything. None of these drivers knew each other. They drove for different companies. They lived in different states. The reports were filed independently, over a span of 5 years, to 2 different state agencies in 2 different states. There was no forum post. There was no viral story. There was no way for one driver's account to contaminate another's. The Nebraska State Patrol confirmed that the reports were not publicly available at any point during the 5-year window. These 14 people described the same woman, in the same location corridor, performing the same impossible act, without any knowledge that anyone else had seen her. Now let me tell you about the dashcam footage. Several of the 14 drivers had dashcams running at the time of their encounters. This should have been the thing that settled the question. Dashcam footage is the reason we have answers in so many highway incidents, hit and runs, road rage events, accidents. A forward-facing camera recording continuously should have captured a woman standing 3 feet from the travel lane on a flat, open shoulder. In every single case, the footage shows an empty road. Not a blur. Not a smear of motion. Not a compression artifact that could be interpreted as a figure. Nothing. The timestamps match the driver's reported time of the encounter. The GPS coordinates match the reported location. The road is there. The lane markings are there. The shoulder is there. The woman is not. One driver, a man named only as RT in the documents obtained through FOIA, pulled over less than a quarter mile after his sighting. He got out of his cab. He walked back along the shoulder with a flashlight. He found no one. He reviewed his dashcam footage on his phone right there on the side of the road and saw nothing. He reported that this was more disturbing to him than the sighting itself. He told the state patrol, and I'm quoting directly from the report, "I know what I saw. I read the sign. I read my daughter's name. She's been dead for 6 years. That was her name on that sign and there's nothing on this tape." Let me pause here and address what I know some of you are already thinking. Highway hypnosis. Microsleep. Fatigue-induced hallucination. These are real phenomena, well documented in transportation safety literature. Long-haul drivers are vulnerable to them. The flat, monotonous landscape of western Nebraska is precisely the kind of environment that triggers perceptual errors. This is a reasonable explanation, and I would accept it without hesitation if it weren't for 3 problems. Problem 1. 14 independent witnesses over 5 years producing nearly identical accounts is not consistent with random fatigue-induced hallucination. Hallucinations caused by microsleep or highway hypnosis are typically brief, fragmented, and highly individual. They do not produce coherent, readable text. They certainly do not produce the same figure, in the same posture, performing the same action, across more than a dozen unrelated observers. Problem 2. The personal information. If these were hallucinations, the brain would be generating the content. That's possible for a name or a date. Your subconscious knows your mother's maiden name. But multiple drivers reported reading the sign and not immediately recognizing what it said. One driver saw a street address and only realized 3 hours later, after calling his ex-wife at a truck stop, that it was the address of the house he was born in, a house he'd left at age 2 and never consciously remembered living in. His ex-wife confirmed the address. His brain produced information he didn't know he had. That's not hallucination. That's something else. Problem 3. The DHS Fusion Center Report. In 2023, a FOIA request, filed not by a journalist but by an independent researcher whose name has not been made public, returned a partially redacted document from a DHS Fusion Center. Fusion centers are intelligence-sharing nodes, typically focused on counterterrorism and criminal activity. They aggregate data from local, state, and federal agencies to identify patterns. The document compiled all 14 reports under a single case designation and classified them using a term I have not been able to find in any other DHS document, any other federal law enforcement database, or any published government lexicon: anomalous interstate activity. Not suspicious activity. Not criminal activity. Not even unexplained activity. Anomalous interstate activity. The word anomalous, in federal intelligence language, has a specific weight. It means something that does not fit within any existing framework of explanation. It is not a word agencies use casually. It is not a word they use when they think there's a rational answer they just haven't found yet. The Fusion Center report noted 5 specific characteristics that elevated the case beyond routine unexplained sightings. These 5 points were listed in the document, though 2 were fully redacted. The 3 that remained readable were as follows. 1. The geographic consistency of the sightings, all occurring within the same 80-mile corridor. 2. The informational specificity of the sign content, which the report described as, quote, containing details consistent with protected personal information not available through open source or commercial databases. 3. And this is the one that keeps me awake, the complete absence of corresponding physical evidence, including, the report notes, electromagnetic, thermal, or visual spectrum signatures on recording devices present at the time of reported contact. They checked the dashcam footage. They checked it at the federal level. They ran thermal analysis. They ran electromagnetic spectrum analysis. They found nothing. Whatever those drivers saw was not captured by any sensor in any wavelength. 2 of the 5 listed characteristics were blacked out entirely. I don't know what they said. No one outside the fusion center knows what they said. But I can tell you that the redaction codes used are consistent with information classified for reasons of national security, not personal privacy. Think about that. 2 characteristics of a woman standing on a highway shoulder holding a cardboard sign were classified for reasons of national security. I want to talk about the corridor itself for a moment. The 80-mile stretch where all 14 sightings occurred runs roughly between the towns of Ogallala and Sidney, Nebraska. This is high plains country. Elevation around 3,500 feet. Flat as a table. On clear nights, you can see to the horizon in every direction, and the horizon is far. There is very little ambient light. The darkness is the kind of darkness that most Americans have never experienced, the kind where you lose your sense of depth, where the sky and the ground become the same thing. There is also, running almost exactly parallel to this stretch of I-80, the original route of the Lincoln Highway, the first transcontinental highway in America, established in 1913. And before that, the corridor followed the path of the Oregon Trail. And before that, it followed a Pawnee trade route that was old before Europeans set foot on the continent. I'm not suggesting that geography is destiny. I'm not suggesting that ancient trails carry some kind of spiritual residue. But I am noting that this particular corridor has been a travel route for longer than recorded history, and that when you overlay the 14 sighting locations on a map, they do not scatter randomly across the 80 miles. They cluster. They cluster around 3 specific points. And those 3 points correspond, not approximately, but precisely, to locations where the Pawnee route, the Oregon Trail, and the Lincoln Highway all converged into a single path. I don't know what to do with that information. I'm not sure anyone does. The last report was filed in late 2022. Since then, nothing. No new sightings have been documented. The DHS Fusion Center report appears to remain open. There is no closure notation in the released document. The Nebraska State Patrol has not issued any public statement. WYDOT has not issued any public statement. The independent researcher who filed the FOIA request has not spoken publicly. And the 14 drivers, the 14 people who saw a woman holding a sign that contained their most private information, a woman who does not appear on any of their cameras, a woman who apparently does not emit light or heat or any electromagnetic signature at all, those 14 people are still driving. Most of them still drive that route. One of them, the man who saw his dead daughter's name, retired 6 months after his encounter. In his final report addendum, filed with Nebraska State Patrol, he wrote one sentence that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. He wrote, "She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at something behind me. In the cab. And she was sorry." I've read that sentence maybe 100 times now. She was sorry. Not threatening. Not malicious. Sorry. As if holding the sign wasn't a taunt or a trick but a warning. As if she was trying to tell him something, and the only language she had was the most private thing she could find. What was in the cab behind him? Who was she sorry for? What were the 2 redacted characteristics in the DHS report? Why did it stop in 2022? And why did the Department of Homeland Security, an agency built to protect the country from terrorism and catastrophic threats, look at a woman on a highway shoulder and decide that 2 facts about her needed to be classified for national security? I don't have answers. I have 14 reports, dashcam footage of empty roads, a federal document that uses terminology I've never seen before, and one retired truck driver who believes, fully and without reservation, that something in his cab was seen by someone who felt compassion for him. If you drive I-80 westbound through Nebraska at night, between Ogallala and Sidney, watch the shoulder. And if you see her, don't read the sign. Or maybe do. Maybe she needs you to. What do you think she is? What do you think the redacted lines contain? And what do you think was behind him in the cab? Leave your theory below. I read every single one.